Joe Rogan.
Whoever's helping her, whoever's coaching her, whoever's the puppet master running the strings.
Yeah.
We should all call the campaign and say they're from Erie County, Pennsylvania, and won't vote for her unless she goes left. No, you should call her and say you're from Erie County, Pennsylvania, and say if she doesn't do NATO, you're not voting for her. And just hang up. Just do that. That's me. That's my take. If Kamala Harris doesn't do NATO like Brandon did NATO, I'm not voting for her. As a matter of fact, even if she does do NATO, I'm still not voting for her. Why? Because I'm voting for Joseph Robinette Biden, okay? The real president, the current president. Really fucked up what they did to him. I was one of the 14 million voters, okay? That's right. I'm saying it.
An amazing job.
She did a great job.
They did an amazing job from the moment Biden drops out, forcing Biden to drop out. Right, whatever they're doing, whoever's writing those speeches, getting her to deliver them, coaching her, she's nailing it. She nailed that one speech. She's like, "Say it to my face."
Oh yeah,
Everybody's cheering.
Yeah, she nailed it, dude.
And then
also, remember the New York Times did a study after 2020 that determined real undecided voters were a myth. Almost everyone they studied already had selected their vote early. The reason they were undecided is they were undecided why they are voting for that person. So they work backwards to justify it later using what the candidates do/say.
And last night, to me, when I was like, oh my God, this is jujitsu, where she was like, if you go to his rallies, his crowds are boring, they're tired, they all leave
early.
My crowds are the best crowds. I have the #1 crowd. He couldn't help himself.
And she got him. She baited him on that. She walked him right into it.
100%. 100%. See, the difference in that debate was not a difference in like who's going to have better policies, who's going to be better for the country. The difference in the debate, in my opinion, was who was better prepared. She was way better prepared.
Yeah, dude, Trump totally has better policies. I love when people just say this because like Kamala Harris objectively policyless, but it's not like Trump has any fucking policies either. What is this fucking idiotic double standard that every smart thinker always posts about? Like they're always chirping about this shit.
Yeah.
And even when it came to answering tough questions, instead of answering, she would just say things that she believes.
Yes, sure.
And they sounded real good.
Yeah, that's
the soundbite.
That's called being a savvy politician.
It's also called being someone who's working with a team versus someone who's like, they said Trump, that deal was the best deal. They've never seen a deal like this before. They said, how did you put that deal together?
People said that was just brilliant. Yeah, I know. He's like,
he's not working with a team that's like, I mean, I know he's doing like mock debates. I know he did one with, I think he did one with Tulsi Gabbard, but someone needs to like tell him, like, you've got these tiny little windows and you should have all the words ready for those windows.
He started
there should be no repeating things.
COVID would have never happened if Trump was president. That's fire. Genuine question. Why do you shit on NATO so hard? Is it the Western imperialism? Are there other reasons? Excuse me. You are talking to the only eligible NATO voter right now because the last NATO voter is now in federal prison. Okay? How dare you?
It's kind of hard to believe, but the bottom line is that 4% in the average of polls, 4% of voters say that they are undecided. That is just half the level that we saw in 2020, well less than the 10% we saw at this point in 2016. So the bottom line is, in this particular election, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump are focusing their attention on this tiny, tiny sliver, much lower than we're used to. In fact, it's the lowest level of undecideds that we've seen in polling at this point this entire 21st century.
You know what? That is not surprising at all, that number is so low. But within the margin of error, all the polls that you've been looking at, that number is extremely significant.
Exactly. It can make all the difference in the world.
So what do these undecideds care about? What are their big issues?
What are their top?
Let me guess. They want tax cuts. They want deregulation. They want more war. They want NATO. They want immigrants. And if Kamala Harris doesn't secure all 5 of these at the same time, these undecideds will vote for the Republican Party. Except they will vote for the Republican Party even after Kamala Harris makes a pledge to do all 5 of those things that they want. So let's see.
Top issues. Well, perhaps not surprisingly, 30% say the economy, inflation. That's number one. But number two, they actually don't have a top issue. 28% say there is no top issue, which perhaps isn't so surprising given that they're probably not as tuned into politics. They might care more about the characteristics of the candidates themselves rather than the issues that they represent. But I think that you get this.
I love that American media totally looks at like the absolute dumbest people in society and consistently props them up as like the only people that matter in the conversation. It's great. I think we are actively positioning people to be even dumber and dumber.
Large chunk of undecideds, right, or the large chunk within the undecideds who say there's no top issue. That, of course, makes it difficult for the campaigns to go after him, because what exactly are you going to talk about to the folks who say, wait a minute, we don't have a top issue?
Right. That's a hard thing, but obviously the economy, that is the issue that seems to be across all. So there are a lot of people, we just sort of mentioned this, that don't really understand how anyone could be undecided at this point in the election cycle and with this particular election. So what's the deal?
What's the deal? Well, I think this might sort of get at it. 2024 is the most important election of my life. 72% of Trump backers say it is, 70% of Harris backers say it is, but just 24% of undecideds say it is. So the bottom line is they don't actually think there's that much on the line going on here, and that is, I think, part of the reason why they're willing to stay back and just say, you know what, I don't really necessarily like either of these folks. I don't think this is the most important election, so you know what, I'm going to continue to be undecided. Of course, there's just 4% of them, but that 4%...
Okay, I take it back. They're actually brilliant.
Is going to make all the difference in the world come November.
They very well could. But if they're not paying attention, like you said, they might start paying attention as we get very, very, very close to the election.
Exactly. But at this point, they just don't really think 2024 is that important. So that's why they're not paying attention.
All right, Harry. And we know we think is important, but there's that. All right, Kate.
Remember, the average undecided in focus groups usually holds two views that counter each other easily. Yeah, exactly. They literally in the same breath will say, I love immigrants. I work with immigrants every day. They're wonderful and they help the economy. And then they'll be like, we have to deport every single one of them. And not a single one of them will ever turn around and be like, is this inherently contradicting? They will not. They will never question it because of the way that American society, American exceptionalism and American individualism works. Those unique snowflakes are truly brilliant, and you have to treat them as though they are truly brilliant and not like what you just said is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Do you feel like liberals are backtracking on immigration policies offers credence to this type of anti-immigrant rhetoric? Yes, I have been saying this for months, but I've also been saying this for years. It's especially relevant in the last couple of months since Biden came out with a right-wing white nativist anti-immigrant bill. Make no mistake, I'm not saying like, oh, dude, you're... I don't know if they're conflating undecided voters with unconvinced voters, okay? I suspect that there's a little bit of that going on in a lot of these instances because the idea of like undecided is basically like, I could vote for Trump or I could vote for Kamala. I'm undecided. When in fact, many people are not conflicted between the two, even though if you ask the New York Times, they only care about people who are conflicted between the two, which is very frustrating because most people aren't like that, okay? It's actually people that are deciding between voting or sitting on the couch. I also have a firm commitment. I have a genuine belief that like every undecided voter is just a Republican voter. I believe that. Like, because if you look at a guy like Donald Trump and you're like, I'm undecided about, I want to go out and vote, but I don't know. Let me hear out this Trump guy. Like, yeah, you're probably a Trump guy. Aren't you undecided? No, dude. What the fuck? I should probably say I'm undecided. Maybe then the New York Times will interview me so I can talk about Israel, and then they'll definitely not put that in the article. No, I'm not undecided. I'm riding in Biden, baby. I'm riding in motherfucking Biden. Dude, at this point, please, dude, if you were a former Trump voter and you're claiming to be undecided, what the fuck do you need to hear? How many former Trump voters who are still currently undecided exist? Get the fuck out of here, dude. No, they're voting for Donald Trump, but they're still like kind of embarrassed about it. Okay, that's it. If you claim to be undecided between Kamala and Trump at this point, and you're a lifelong Republican voter and you voted for Trump twice, you're gonna fucking vote for Trump. Like, what are we doing? Of course you're going to fucking vote for Trump. It's so transparent. It's so stupid. Not even last week you were saying, I don't know who I'm voting for, but I'll never vote for Trump or something similar. No, last week I was also saying I'm voting for Biden. I'm riding in Biden, baby. Also, I'm a political commentator. There's a lot of people who want to cast aside my commentary by simply saying, oh, he's a Harris supporter, or oh, he's a Trump supporter. That is the reason why I do not declare who I would be supporting in the election. It's because people want to say, oh, he's not going to vote for Kamala Harris, so don't listen to him. Everything he says, it's not about like who I'm voting for at all. It's actually entirely about how to make my commentary seem less relevant. So of course, make up your own goddamn minds, okay? Trump supporter, nah, people only want to know if you'll vote for Harris or not. Yeah, exactly. And for the record, I'm unconvinced. And not only that, but also I'm riding in Biden. Step aside, liberals. You will not be able to convince me. What you did to Joseph Robinette Brandon was inexcusable.